Yeah.
All right, we're live.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Barry Northern. I'm a tour guide at the Kentucky Derby Museum, and welcome to the backside of Churchill Downs on Oaks Day, Kentucky Oaks number 148. Little known fact, folks, actually we'll be crowning our 149th winner of the Kentucky Oaks today. Back in 1959, the rules were a little different, and they actually ran two Kentucky Oaks that day called split divisions. So we really had two Kentucky Oaks winners in 1 year. So we'll be crowning our 149th Oaks winner today. And we're pretty happy right now. The forecast didn't look too good for us, but it looks like we got a little reprieve right here for a couple hours. What we're going to try to do is get up to the track here quickly because some of the Derby horses will probably be coming out onto the track here in just a few minutes. None of them are going to be doing much today, just out here stretching their legs a little bit. So that's our plan, is to try to get up here. If you can feel the excitement back here, at least I can, folks. Goosebumps right now just thinking about it. So, looks like we got a Derby where we're going to be back to normal again. So very much looking forward to it. Yeah, here comes one of our pony people. There's Lynn up on the pony there. The ponies are kind of the babysitters or the escorts out here. They're just kind of companion animals for the thoroughbreds. Kind of help calm them down. Thoroughbreds can be a little nervous, but they are herd animals, so they like having some company with them. So usually a companion animal is going to go with them. So we're making our way down here towards the press center at Churchill Downs. A lot of the TV, radio stations out here doing their morning shows here. So that creates a lot of the excitement that you can feel back here this morning. And you see everybody was kind of dressed for some pretty nasty weather out here this morning. But right now it's beautiful. We have a break and going to enjoy every minute of it while it's dry. But just like Derby folks, Oaks Day same. No such thing as a bad Oaks. Some are just better than others. So weather is not going to deter us from having a good time today. So the track is closed now for a maintenance break. So we do have the tractors out reworking the track. And there's some of the unsung heroes here, folks. You never hear about those guys. But Jamie Richardson is the track superintendent. He and his grounds crew do a great job. Looking with all the rain we've had and looking at that track out there right now, it looks pretty good to me. And thinking about it, looking forward to tomorrow. If we get just a little break in the rain early in the morning, those guys will have that track in great condition by the time we run Derby 148 tomorrow afternoon around 7 o'clock. So grounds maintenance crew do one heck of a job out here. They take pride in this being one of the safest tracks in the country. And believe me, they too take pride in it. Sometimes when we race late in the year, in the Novembers, occasionally a track can maybe freeze. And if it freezes, then you have to cancel racing. On those days, those guys might work all night long, keeping this track in good shape, make sure we can race on a safe track that day. So Jamie and his crew do a heck of a job out here. So let's go see if we can get us a little closer spot for when these horses come out here. Good morning, Jenny. I believe I stole that line from Jenny. I think she's the one that said no such thing as a bad Derby summer, just better than others. And that young lady, Jenny, is a former reporter for the Courier-Journal, sports writer. She is actually in the Horse Racing Hall of Fame up at Saratoga Springs as a journalist. So, Hall of Fame writer right there. So we're walking across right here with all the rain we've had. Not too bad right now. Folks, this track is mostly sand, so it can take a lot of water. On days when it's not getting rain and things like that, most of those days they'll put about 100,000 gallons of water on this track. It's mostly sand. If you let it get dry, it gets a little loose. Horses don't get the same traction, so you do want some moisture in it. So to me, looking at it right now, it sure looks pretty good from here. So once this break is over, once the tractors are off, then the Derby horses are going to have a few minutes to come out here on their own. Like I said, mostly just a little maintenance, stretching their legs, keeping their horses. Just want to stay healthy and happy when we're getting this close to the Derby. Now, this is the press center, folks, all week long. TV and radio stations out here doing their morning workout. Or their morning shows, I should say. Good morning, Bill. Happy Oaks Day, buddy.
Having a good time?
They're going to have a good time, buddy. Yeah, we've been lucky, though. Now that's Bill Berry. Bill is a gaff attendant, folks. What that is, when horses come onto the racetrack, if they're going to do a timed workout, they'll probably let Bill know. Bill can radio to the clockers that are up on the 4th floor on the other side over there, and he'll tell them a particular horse is going to work, say, a half a mile, and he'll radio up to them, and then those clockers know when that horse, when to hit the stopwatch to time those races. These workouts and timed workouts all have to be published in the program. A lot of times for us gamblers, we want to know how a horse has been doing in the morning. That sometimes is an indicator of what kind of talent they have and what kind of shape they're in at that time. So morning workouts are definitely a major part of what these folks do. Folks, where we are on the backside right now, it's its own little village. And I talk to so many people that do my tours that don't really understand it. So many people that go to the races over there think horses are at a farm, and then they ship in here and race and go back to their farm, and typically that's not the case. We got about 1,400 horses stabled back here right now. There's 47 barns back here. They're numbered 1 to 48. There is no number 13. So we have about 1,400 horses back here. And also, there's usually about 700 people living back here, folks. So from mid-March till the end of the year, we're usually going to have 1,000 or more horses back here and about 700 people that live back here. So it's its own little community, and you have people from all over the world. So we have a learning center back here. It's its own little nonprofit organization. Sherry Stanley runs the learning center. They do a tremendous job providing so many resources to help out these folks that are living and working back here. We also have a church back here. There's a restaurant for them, dormitories where they live. Others live above the barns. But those are the people that are the backbone of this industry. They're the ones working with these horses on a daily basis. So I can tell you, I've been hanging around this racetrack pretty much my whole life. But all my life, I was on the other side as a fan. I'm obviously still a fan. But now that I come back here, been doing this about 11 years, it's really changed things for me. I'm a city boy. I didn't know too much about the animal, but I've gotten to learn about the animal, and now I really appreciate that animal. And then maybe more than that, appreciate these people back here and what they do on a daily basis. Folks, we got a break in the weather right now, but it wouldn't matter. Pouring down, whatever, these people do this every day. I always say it's not too much different than children. Every day you're going to exercise that horse, feed it, bathe it, do laundry, and then clean up after it. And that's done regardless of weather conditions. So I do have a lot of respect for these people back here and what they do. So I see a few of the TV stations are still doing their shows here. A lot of them are cleared out for now. And then it'll be kind of a land grab back here tomorrow for folks that have some credentials to get back here. And it almost becomes tailgating back here on the backside, but you do have some kind of credentials to get back here. Now there's our track maintenance crew going by now. My buddy Bruce Kingade riding that. Bruce and I grew up one block away from each other, played a little league ball together at a very young age. So, and what they're doing now is they're dragging those floats around, folks. That kind of squeegees the moisture up to the top of the track, and then it tends to dry off. But boy, with all the rain we have, looking at that out there, that track sure looks pretty good to me. The guy driving that tractor, Alan Beecham, graduated high school with Alan. So a lot of these guys are neighborhoods, and I tell people that all the time. That's one of the things with Churchill Downs for me. I'd hate to think where my state and my city, especially my neighborhood, would be without Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Derby. It's provided so many jobs for so many people over the years. So a lot of neighborhood fellows have made their livelihoods over here at this racetrack. So a couple of them out there right now. So as soon as those tractors get off at the other end of the racetrack, head back to the harrow yard with their tractors, then the Derby horses will be coming out. Typically when we're out here in the morning, folks, I can see horses. I normally can't tell you who they are. I can tell you who trains them by the saddle towel they have on. But with the Derby and the Oaks horses, when they're out on the track, well, I don't think we'll see any Oaks horses this morning, but the Derby horses, they'll have a big bright saddle towel with their name on them. So we know who we're going to be seeing when they're out there on the track this morning. And I'm looking down behind me there, folks, and there's the actual Kentucky starting gate way down in the chute down there. And that's a gate that holds all 20 horses. Up until a couple of years ago, 14 horses is the most horses ever allowed in a race, except for the Derby will allow 20. Well, we used to have to take the 14 stall gate, and then we have a 6 stall gate that they use for practice. They used to have to butt those two together to run 20 horses. Now we have one starting gate that holds all 20. Now what it is this morning, they just have it pulled halfway out on the track down there, and that's just for some of the young horses to maybe go down there and just stand in it, just kind of get used to being in that little confined area. And typically they graduate from that one to another gate where they actually bust out of it and simulate a race. These horses do have to go to gate school. They have to be approved. Scott Jordan and his gate crew, they work with them in the morning, make sure these horses are okay with loading in those gates. Some of them are a little claustrophobic. They're a little reluctant to go in there sometimes. But Scott and his crew, they take notes on all of them, so they know what horses that might need a little special care in the afternoons when they're loading them. Because, folks, it can be totally different when they're out here in the morning going into that gate, nobody around. Most mornings, now Derby and Oaks is different, but most mornings nobody's around, so those horses do that. It's not much of a problem. But then on race day, you come out here, and those horses are creatures of habit. So they're out here early every morning. When you bring them out here in the afternoons, well, they realize something's different then, and you all of a sudden more people around, things like that. You never know how they're going to react. So they do all have to go to gate school to make sure that they'll go into the gate and leave in a timely manner. Sometimes you'll see them take special care. Sometimes horses go into that gate, and the side of the gate might hit them on their sides here and their flank there, and that's kind of where they're the most vulnerable when they're out in the wild. So some of them don't like the feel of that. Occasionally you'll see them where they'll put a blanket over the top of that horse and then tie it to the gate. And when he walks in, so he's not feeling it, the blanket's protecting him, and then he'll just run right out from underneath that blanket when the gate's open. Don't see that too often, but occasionally that happens. And that's what all the gate school is in the morning, to make sure they are willing to go in there and bust out of there in a timely manner. If they race and they have a little trouble at that starting gate, then they're probably going to have to go to gate school again, and they'll get flagged, have to go to gate school, and do a little more teaching before they get to race again another day. So the tractors should be getting off on the far end. I would imagine we'll start seeing some of the Derby horses coming out on the track here in just a few minutes. I was thinking that some of the weather might keep some of them from coming out. But right now it's beautiful out here, so I think we'll see most of them out here. And I see one of our exercise riders over here. Morning, Kira. Kira rides for Ian Wilkes. So are you through for the day?
Well, the track's closed except for Derby and Oaks.
Oh, that's right. Only Derby and Oaks works today. That's right. So the training's going to end a little earlier this morning than normal, with us starting the first race. Here comes the Derby horse, getting ready to come out. First ones I'm seeing there are the Todd Pletcher charges, folks. There's 3 of them. You see Mo Donegal charges, Pioneer of Medina. Those are all 3 Todd Pletcher horses coming out here. Mo Donegal happens to be my pick for the Kentucky Derby, but I certainly like Charge It as well. We'll get up there. Todd has a stable here at Churchill Downs now, folks. We've got a couple of high-profile trainers that are stabled here now that didn't normally stable horses here. And that's Todd Pletcher, Chad Brown, a couple of those guys that I'm thinking. The reason is, folks, the prize money here at Churchill Downs now is better than anywhere else in the country. And so you got to take your horses where the money is. So, for instance, today, I think first or second race, we have a maiden race today, folks. Maidens are horses that have never won before. Our maidens here at Churchill Downs are running for prize money of $120,000. That's an awful lot of money for these maidens. You could probably go somewhere in the country, same type of horses, maidens would probably be running for $40,000 or $50,000. Good morning, Candace, Sterling, good to see y'all. So the money was where the horses are going to go, folks. If I had a horse, you want to run where the most prize money is, and that's where it is here at Churchill Downs. So they're waiting for them to say the track is now open, and it should be just the same. See Todd's horses lining up here. Don't see any of the others as of yet. So typically when I see Todd's horses, folks, you see a saddle towel with TAP. So that's Todd's initials, so that's how we know they're his horses out there. And then, like I said, on this particular occasion, they also have some saddle towels on telling us who they are. I'm looking out there now, folks, and seeing some of our grounds crew walking around on our new turf course out there. I would like to talk to those folks to find out how it handled yesterday. So we've only raced a few races on that track. Okay. The announcement is just made for the Derby. The folks' horses only. And here they come, folks. So we're going to get a look at some of these beautiful animals up there. And we have our outriders out there. They're wearing the red vest. They're policemen / lifeguards out there. There goes Charge It, Pretty Gray, son of Tappet. Tappet has been one of the top stallions for the last decade, but he's yet to produce a Derby winner. Maybe Charge It is going to be his. There's Mo Donegal, winner of the Wood Memorial in his last race. Probably should be somewhere around the 8 to 10 to 1 price range come post time would be my guess. But you see those at the outrider down there in the red, folks. They're policemen / lifeguards. And these guys that work here for us, they're cowboys. They're mighty, mighty good at what they do. Here comes Greg. He's our leader. Good morning, Greg. How are you, buddy?
How are you?
Doing pretty good. Living the dream?
Oh, you know it. You know it.
So that's Greg Blasey. Typically, folks, you're going to see Greg after the Derby race is over. He'll usually grab the winner and lead it back to the winner's circle. And here comes our Japanese horse, folks. Here, this is Crown Pride. Yeah. It's been interesting to watch him in the morning. A lot of times our horses are out here maybe 15, 20 minutes. They keep him out here for an awful long time. There's Tiz the Bomb, trained by Kenny McPeak. Obviously a very talented horse. The question with Tiz the Bomb is he seems to be a better horse running on grass or synthetics. But as the late great John Asher used to say, it never hurts to have a little green in your pedigree running on this racetrack here. So I certainly would not throw him out. Here comes Rich Strike, who we got behind him there. There's Bandon, who is the morning line favorite to win the Derby, trained by Chad Brown. And here's Lynn, she's ponying. Who we got there? Smile Happy, another one of Kenny McPeak. So Kenny has 2 horses entered in this year's race. And we got Rattle and Roll. I believe this is one of Brad Cox's coming along here. Who we got here? Cyberknife probably coming here, folks. I see the rider on there. Katie tells me this is probably Cyberknife on this one coming along here. Zozos, another Brad Cox. Of course, Brad's local fella grew up just about 2 blocks from here. But there's Cyberknife right there. I think he'll have a little say in the outcome of it as well. Here comes the Pretty Gray coming here, folks. I'm pretty sure this is White Abario coming here. He kind of stands out there with the color. His color. White Abario. He was one of the last ones to arrive. He got in here, I think, last Sunday. Gorgeous animal. Gorgeous animal. Well, here come a couple just stretching their legs right here. Here's Charge It. Charge is a relatively inexperienced horse. He's only started 3 times. In his last race, he was a little green down the stretch. I'm hoping he figures it out a little bit more in this last month. I hope he's grown up a little bit and run a straight line. There's Taba. Taba coming from California, winner of the Santa Anita Derby. He has only run 2 races in his life, folks. So the Derby's going to be the 3rd race of his life. The last horse to win the Derby, with only the Derby being the 3rd race of their career, that was Leonidas back in 1883. So Taba's going to have to buck a long-standing trend. Typically, horses are going to have a little more seasoning under their belt before they run in the Derby. So, but Taba's certainly talented. I believe he was purchased for $1.7 million. There's Pioneer of Medina. So when you buy one for 1.7, you kind of hope they'll get you to the Derby. And Taba is here. He probably has a big shot. And then once again, I see the grounds crew out there rolling our grass track. Typically, not a lot of practice goes on the grass track. It's such a tough thing to maintain. You know, horses are tearing it up when they're running on it. So you limit how many grass races you have. Summer is tomorrow. Probably be one of the longest prices on the board on Derby Day, I would think. And I'm seeing them rolling the track out there. So, like I said, folks, the track is new. Back in June, we tore up our grass track. It had been there since 1985, and it was 90% fescue and 10% bluegrass. Our new track out there now is a Bermuda hybrid, and we just started running on it for the first time last weekend. All right, there's Rich Stripe. So there's the Japanese horse. I see him down in the chute. They go down there and he kind of just runs little figure eights down in there a little bit. As I mentioned, they keep him out here a little bit longer than most of our horses do. And here's Charging coming again a second time. Well, I wish I could have pointed it out there, folks. He took a big skip right there. The horses come around a bend. They're taking left-hand turns. They're taught they're supposed to reach with their left. And that helps them lean into a turn and they corner better. Typically, right around in this area, when they're hitting the straightaway again, they switch back to a right lead. And a lot of times you can see the little skip they take right there, and that is them switching their leads. They don't always all do it on cue. I can tell you, standing here watching the Great American Pharaoh every day, his was so smooth, it was really hard to see his lead switch a lot of times. And boy, it was clockwork. He did it in the same spot every time. There's Mo Donnelly. She just tried, you could see the rider trying to get him to switch his lead right there, which he did. Some horses are athletic enough, and they'll do it on their own. Others have to be coaxed by the rider a little bit to switch that lead. It's kind of like switching gears, you know. If you're carrying something with one arm, you're getting a little tired with it. You move it to the other arm, you change a set of muscles, and that's kind of what switching leads is all about. A lot of times if you watch races, you'll see horses coming down that home stretch and they look like they're laboring a little bit, and then you'll see them switch to that right lead and boom, they almost hit another gear and take off from there. You know, Crown Pride, fitness should not be a problem for him, folks. Boy, he's out here every day, and like I said, he stays out here for quite a while. There goes Cyberknife. Katie riding for Brad Cox right there. Summer is tomorrow. All right, we got a pretty one going to come right back here. Who we got coming? Is the Bob coming right by us here. Double Z's right there. Zandon and Zozos just went by us. I believe we had one horse with the letter Z win the Derby. I believe that was Zev in 23. Tawny Port, another one of Brad Cox's 3 horses that are running.
Yeah. Said I can beat you. And I mean that they do. They really.
Folks, I stand there every morning and you watch these riders on these horses and they can make this look easy. And then occasionally you see something happen out there and you realize there's nothing easy about what they're doing. They're all 1,200-pound animals, got a mind of its own. But these riders around here, we got some mighty good ones around here. I just stand there, just hear that sound. Rattle and roll coming by that. You hear that sound, folks? That's one horse. It's hard to describe what 20 of them are like. When 20 of them come around that bend, if you're standing right here, you hear them coming. And then when they go by you, you feel the power of those animals. And Derby Day, 150,000 or so on their feet screaming. Once again, I got the goosebumps. It just never gets old for me. There's Wide Bar. Beautiful fellow. Coming off a win in the Florida Derby. Folks, if you hear the term Derby, typically that's telling you that is a race for 3-year-old thoroughbreds only. Only 2 exceptions that I know of. I think Hong Kong and Singapore, they have derbies for 4-year-olds. Germany has a derby, Italy has a derby, Sweden, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana. If you hear the term Derby, 3-year-old thoroughbreds only. And in case you didn't know, all these thoroughbreds we see out here, they share a birthday. It's January the 1st for every one of them. They breed them so they're born between early January and the end of May. But regardless of when they're born in that time frame, January 1 is considered their birthday. So that means any horse that was in last year's Derby is a 4-year-old today. They're not eligible for the Kentucky Derby. It's a race that is restricted to 3-year-old thoroughbreds only. And they can be either gender, but very rarely do the fillies run against the boys. We've only had 3 fillies to win in 148 years, so typically they'll run against their own gender. There's simplification. Every time I've seen him go by. So most mornings, folks, training is done between 5:30 and 10 o'clock with 2 different half-hour breaks to renovate the track. This morning, since we're starting our first race today at 10:30, training is going to end a little earlier this morning than normal. We'll do the same thing tomorrow. Canning Peak, a local trainer who has got a couple chances in there. Brad Cox has 3. Todd Fletcher has 3 in the race. Brad won last year's race kind of by default with Mandaloon. I know Brad would love to win one outright where he could celebrate a little bit and have a good time. As a fellow that grew up in the South End just like me, it's certainly kind of, my heart wouldn't bother me a bit if Brad won his Derby legitimately tomorrow. Kind of pulling for him a little bit with my heart. And I'll tell you folks, I am a person that does like to bet on the horses. But since I've been doing this race or doing this job, things have changed for me. Sometimes my heart gets in the way a little bit. I try not to bet with my heart, but when you get to meet some of these people back here and you get to know them, especially some of the smaller outfits that don't have all the big numbers of horses, it's hard not to pull for some of them in some of these races. So my heart does get in the way of my handicapping a little bit these days. Brad is one I would love to see get it done tomorrow. Folks, it's going to be interesting to see what our crowds are like because I'm guessing we won't have the number of general admission people that we've had in the past. Because general admission now is strictly in the infield, where in the past you could take the tunnels and roam to the other side as well. But since all the seats on the other side now are all inclusive, food and alcohol, everything's included, therefore the general admission folks can't go through the tunnel to get to that side. General admission is going to be strictly out in the middle. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of crowds we have this weekend.
You talk about Ethereal Road in Lucas.
Ethereal Road, I have not seen Ethereal Road out here yet, or Mr. Lucas, I don't know. So Ethereal Road, folks, he's the number 20 horse in this race and trained by D. Wayne Lucas. Mr. Lucas, folks, come out here, you see him up on horseback every morning. He's going to be 87 in September. And to see him up on that horse every morning, now he told me the other day he certainly loves having a horse in the Derby, but he's more excited for his owners. He says he's been here, done that, and he's really excited for his owners to have a shot at the Derby. So it looks to me like Greg Blasey might be heading down there to help out that Japanese horse a little bit, I'm guessing. Yeah. So the Japanese horse, folks, he just goes out there and they just run him in figure eights. Very different style of training from what we do. But if you follow horse racing at all, some of the bigger races around the world here recently have been being won by these Japanese horses. We go back to 1989, folks. That was a Derby when it snowed a little bit that day. I'll never forget that one. A horse named Sunday Silence won. Well, after winning the Derby, he was ended up purchased by the Japanese to go back to Japan to breed over there because they wanted to strengthen their breed. And boy, did Sunday Silence do that. So if you look in the pedigree of Crown Pride here, you'll see a generation or so back, you're going to see Sunday Silence in his pedigree. So even though he's been strictly over in Japan all his life, it certainly has very much of an American pedigree with that Sunday Silence in there. Morning, Jamie. Hey. That is our track superintendent, Jamie Richardson, right there, folks. So this is his crew that does a tremendous job of keeping this track safe for all these horses out here. I think to a man, most of these trainers will tell you this is one of the safest tracks that they run on. I'm looking across folks' top level over there. For some of the locals, might not even realize this. We have a steakhouse up on that 6th floor over there anymore, called the Matt Wynn Steakhouse. I believe they're open 5 days a week, year-round. Haven't been there personally, but when I talk to tourists that I take on tours and locals, to a person, I don't think I've heard a bad review on the Matt Wynn Steakhouse. So keep that in mind, you locals. Pretty cool place to sit up there on top and look out over the racetrack and have your meal. So it looks like the Derby horses are going to get off the track now. They're pretty much done for the day. So we'll just take a walk on the backside, maybe watch a couple of them get in a bath, something like that. See what we can find. Morning, Carla. Happy Oaks Day.
Happy Oaks Day.
So I think we'll just walk back this way. I'll probably try to walk past Todd Fletcher barn. We have 3 of them out there. We might be able to get a look at a couple of them getting their baths out here. This is where I just like to spend my mornings, folks. Nothing like it to me. I'm not a person that likes to get up very early. But when I know I'm going to come over here and watch these gorgeous animals every morning, it makes it a little bit easier to get out of bed. The Todd barn is just up a couple barns up, so we'll go by and see if we can see some action there. Once again, old little village back here, folks. You have blacksmiths back here. They're kind of independent contractors. They change shoes on these thoroughbreds about every 30 days. So with 1,400 horses back here, blacksmiths can certainly stay busy. And then you see where they muck out all the stalls here. Well, a company called Equine Organic Company. They haul that off. Maybe take it to mushroom farms, places like that for fertilizer. Up on the Eddie Keneally barn. Eddie's barn's been red hot these last couple of weeks. Winning races at Keeneland and here at Churchill Downs. So his barn is hot right now. Hey, yeah, he's going the wrong way. Yeah. So you look up and down the road, folks, see all these horses out getting their baths. As I mentioned again, done every day. So we just had a security guard yelling at somebody that was driving in an area where they're not supposed to be. And that kind of happens this time of year. You get some people back here that aren't used to being back here. Sometimes they don't have enough respect for what's going on back here with all these animals. So you got to be careful. Barn of Dallas Stewart, local trainer. Dallas has several horses running today. Dallas won the Kentucky Oaks years ago with the biggest long shot ever to win the Oaks, a horse by the name of Lemon Forever. So you see the TAP sign on the barn right there. That tells us this barn is full of horses trained by Todd. And there's all the Derby horses down there. We'll wander on down and get a good view of them all out getting their baths. So this barn attracts a lot of the reporters. A lot of top-notch horse flesh in this barn. There's Charge, and there's all 3 of his. Charge at Pioneer of Medina. And Mo Donovan. That is a gorgeous sight there, folks. Charge has got that gray in him just like his daddy does. His daddy was a little lighter gray, but he might get there before it's over with too. Charge's dad was Tappet for many years. It was $300,000 to breed your mare to Tappet. I believe that fee's down to $180,000 now. And this is Mo Donegal right here closest to us. And I said I think his odds are probably going to be somewhere in the 8 to 10 to 1 range. But Churchill Downs offers a future wager, folks. So I bet on him back in November, I believe it was. And So I have his odds locked in. I think it's at 37-1. So I wouldn't mind seeing Mo Donegal get his nose there first. He's owned by Donegal Racing. That's an attorney from Iowa, I believe, named Jerry Crawford. And a lot of members of that Donegal Racing Syndicate, so I'm sure Jerry will bring a big entourage here this weekend to watch his horse run. And I see Todd Butcher over there in the shed row, just observing. Because at this point, folks, it's just keep them healthy and happy. They're all as fit as they're going to get. They're all ready to roll. You just want to make sure they're eating and feeling good. And then get them to that gate tomorrow and then let all that training take over. And we'll find out who the best 3-year-old is on the first Saturday in May. Todd has won a couple of derbies before. And he also has the favorite for the Oaks today, a filly by the name of Nest. She probably will, more than likely, will be the post-time favorite. And this is done every day, folks. I don't care what this weather is. It would be pouring right now. Nothing to change with what these folks are doing. And you see him down there checking out a hoof on the... Who's that one there? That is Pioneer Medina in the middle there. A lot of times you see trainers are always feeling down around the horse's legs. If you feel some heat down there, you probably got some inflammation. But I get a question on the tours a lot of times, folks, are these horses taken care of? But watch this right here. That gives you the answer. These horses mean a lot to these folks. They take a lot of pride in it. Pioneer in Medina right here. Folks, I always wonder, when you get all these people around these horses and things, you just never know what might spook the horses a little bit. But as my friend Bill Vest tells me, he's the security fellow on the backside and was one of the guys loading them in the starting gate for many years.
Pitch it on the backside. Pitch it on the backside. The racetrack is now closed for training. The racetrack is now closed for training. Good luck to all the Oaks contenders today. Thank you.
That was Sandy up at the stable gate. Wishing everybody luck today. But like Bill was telling me, so typically when you get to the Derby and Oaks, those caliber of horses, typically they're not only gifted physically, but probably gifted mentally too. So they're able to handle some of this better than some other horses might. We got nothing to class with these animals right here, folks. See that steam rising off of them? Oh, man. And there you go. There's the Donegal Racing colors going across on his blanket there. I believe Jerry Crawford is an Irishman. He names a lot of his horses with Irish-sounding names. All right, so Mo's done for the day. He'll go back and eat. Get a little rest. Maybe this afternoon they might get him out and do a little more walking with him, but won't be on the track anymore today. All right, Mo. Best of luck to you tomorrow. And if you look over there on Todd's stall there, you see it in stall number 25, one of his horses there playing with the jolly ball. Horses can get a little bored sometimes in there. And some of them get into a habit of wanting to chew on the side of the stall. And that can be a bad habit for them to get into. So the jolly ball's just for a little entertainment for them. And you see him, he's messing with that jolly ball right now. And here's Charge It now. It's walking by, so he got his pass, and I'll do a little walking with him in the morning. One of our ponies there, folks. So that's one of the babysitter horses right there going by. So Ponies can be any breed, sometimes retired thoroughbreds, but other breeds. We probably have the most famous pony in the country back here today, Harley the Magnificent. Harley's part Appaloosa, got a lot of draft horse in him. He probably weighs about 2,400 pounds. He's twice the size of most of these thoroughbreds. Harley is a gentle giant. We toured back here a few years ago where people could tweet me questions. The first question came from Ireland, and they wanted to know who the horse with the big spotted hind was. Of course, that was Harley. So now Todd's probably going to have a gaggle of reporters by him down here now, all asking questions about his horses. I don't know what else he can say. He's been asked all these questions so many times. There's Mo Dongle. After his bath, they're going to just do a little walking with him, just cool him down. So these folks get to see working. I'm guessing they started their work day back here probably around 4:30 this morning. Now that is Ness in this stall right here. 25, that was her messing with the Jolly Ball, I believe. So horse in today. And that is Ness likely to be next here. Okay, I'm sorry, Ness is here in 26. He's taking it easy. Our big race will be about 6 o'clock this evening. I certainly like her chances a lot today. Her last race was the Ashland Stakes down at the Cleveland. She won so impressively. And folks, that Oaks is a loaded field today. We got a ton of good ones in there. Matter of fact, Todd has one in there by the name of Shahama. She's undefeated. And she's being overlooked a little bit because I think all her 4 races were held in Dubai. But for me, you can never overlook an undefeated horse. And racing in Dubai is certainly pretty good too. So I think Shahama is being overlooked a little bit. Like I said, hard to ever not undefeated. So there's Ness. She's just chilling out. All right, let's just go on and see what else we can see. These people need to wind down a little bit early today, since typically our first post is 12:45 in the afternoon. Well, today our first post is 10:30 this morning. So these people got to wrap it up a little bit early today. And you see the saddle cows with his 3 Derby horses hanging on the wall right here. Hoping one of those is wearing the roses on the saddle. Now you see, folks, there's Todd's wall of honor right there. Pretty impressive list of horses right there. A few Oaks winners in there. Rags to Riches, our Oaks winner in 2007. She went on to win the Belmont. She beat the boys in the Belmont, Rags to Riches. These 2 Derby winners, Super Saver and Always Dreaming. Yeah, it's a pretty impressive list right there. He's hoping to add another 1 or 2. Looks to me like he's got a space on either side where he'd probably like to put up an Oaks and a Derby winner right up there where that little opening is and fill that wall up. So, pretty impressive list.
Thank you.
And that is why he is in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to try to maybe walk down closer to the Brand Cox Barn, see if there's any activity down there. Folks, most of our trainers, you see over here says Eddie Keneally Racing Stable. Eddie runs what's called a public stable. That means to say he had 25 horses in there. Conceivably, they can be 25 different owners. The barn on my right is one that's the different one. That's insignia stands for Richard Rigney. Mr. Rigney, I believe, has 3 children. That's why you see the 3 hearts. And Mr. Rigney owns all the horses in that barn. And he has a person named Bill Bauer, who's his private trainer. Trained solely for him. So that's the only one that's a little bit different. Typically, all the rest of our trainers back here are public trainers. Mr. Rigney, I believe, has made a lot of his money with the flavoring of drinks. I know he has a horse named Fireball Shot. He makes the flavoring for Fireball. Phil Barr is a local fella, I believe, St. X grad, who is his trainer, just for Mr. Rigney only. Said Hall of Famers earlier, folks. You look down there, there's Bill Moxborn, another Hall of Fame trainer. We got several of those back here. All right. We're coming up. Phil Barr trains Mr. Rigney's horses here. The barn up ahead of us there is Brad Cox. And Brad has been the Eclipse Award winner the last 2 years. Folks, most of the activity is going to wind down now. As I said, we got somebody up here getting a new pair of shoes. I watch those blacksmiths every day. That looks like back-breaking work to me. But they're all going to wind down a little bit right now because we got an early start today. We certainly appreciate you all joining us this morning. If you ever think you want to come back here and check this stuff out, go to the Kentucky Derby Museum website. We do tours every day, bringing people back here to see this up close and personal. So please join us. Otherwise, happy Derby 148 and happy Oaks 148. So thanks for spending some time with us. Thank you all. Boy, that horse got a pretty face on it. Pretty animal.